Man, a rough game for Charlotte FC, their first playoff game against New York City. I'm going to toss things to Jeb Goldman as we talk about what could be another game and how they're going to win the next game. Jeb?
Yeah, Colin, it should be a really, really interesting match. And actually, to join me to talk about the game, I'm joined by Tony Husband, who'll be calling the away fixture. And Tony, let's not sugarcoat things, all right? It wasn't the performance we were hoping to see in this first game against New York City FC. What does Charlotte need to do to get it right in the away fixture, a place we've already lost this season?
Yeah, that's right. And if you don't want to sugarcoat things, that's all good. It wasn't very good. It was poor. It was a poor display at home, playoff game. Dean Smith said today, that his team had worked all season, 34 games, 19 wins. Many of those at home to get themselves into a position to have that home field advantage in the playoffs, and they kind of tossed it away in one particularly bad half this week at Bank of America Stadium. So they've got to improve. They've got to be much better. They're going to have to take the chances. They're going to have to create more chances. They're going to be playing at a baseball field, don't forget, at Yankee Stadium, which is quite tight. The dimensions of the field are narrower, but they will have Wilfried Zaha back. And he brings that little bit of quality, that little bit of magic that Charlotte are going to need now if they're going to get themselves back into this series and keep their season alive.
And there are 2 points there that I really want to kind of hit on. We're getting Wilfried Zaha back. Obviously, he's so phenomenally dangerous in those wide areas. But playing New York City FC, those wide areas virtually non-existent. So what does Wilfried Zaha, hopefully playing with a chip on his shoulder, what does he need to do to really impact the game in a place that he's not had a lot of, and really none of the Charlotte wingers have had a lot of success in recent history?
Well, right now, Jed, there's a big debate in the world of football, and those who follow soccer very closely will know about this, about how much goals are coming from set pieces, how much the more direct play is actually yielding rewards, no matter what league you're watching across the world. Wilfried Zaha, 125 times he was fouled during this season, the most of any player in MLS. He's already the most fouled player in Premier League history when he played at Crystal Palace. Now, he will win set-piece situations in key areas of the field. And it could well be that at a field like Yankee Stadium, sometimes it would be a set piece that could make the difference. He wins the ball in dangerous areas. He operates around the edge of the penalty area. He beats players, but when he doesn't, they tend to foul him. So that will set them up for set-piece situations and potentially a route back into the game.
That it's an interesting take. I mean, I know we look at Arsenal in the Premier League, who may win a Premier League title based on set-piece dominance alone. We'll see. But it's similar in that I think Charlotte FC could replicate that level of success with a very tight defense and phenomenal set pieces. Let's talk about that defense for a second, because that goal was awful. I mean, I think if my youth soccer coach would have seen that happen when I was 12 years old, I would have heard an earful. I imagine Dean Smith was giving our defenders, Malanda and Tim Ream, an earful themselves. Are we nervous about the defense? We can't be giving up those kinds of goals. What do you think he's telling them to get them back on the right track?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was either wonderful to watch or awful, depending on your perspective on it. But yeah, I mean, it was a nice piece of skill from Alonso Martinez. He's kind of almost nutmegged an entire player rather than just put it through the legs. But you would expect, you would have expected a better challenge. I mean, you shouldn't let a player, and certainly a team of Charlotte's defensive capabilities should not have been able to let a player effectively go and retrieve the ball, turn around, run into the box, and actually run straight past everyone without touching it. He finished it well, he took it well, but yeah, he should have been tackled, and that wasn't good enough. I think I would want to put that down as a bit of a blip for what has been generally a pretty good back line for Charlotte this season. Christian Kalina had that little spell out of the side earlier in the year, but for the most part, he's one of the best goalkeepers in MLS. Tim Ream brings so much experience. Malanda is that good that he will obviously depart for pastures new in Europe at the end of this season. So, you don't want to be bidding farewell to him with a game in Yankee Stadium this Saturday. You at least hope it's going to come back to Bank of America Stadium. So I wouldn't be overly concerned. Defensively, this is a pretty good group. I think Toffolo's been a good addition as well. Byrne, for me, is a steady Eddie kind of player. He's got good quality. He's played at good levels. They're a good group. But the margin for error and mistakes this weekend is that much smaller now.
With a goal being an absolute necessity I think I speak for all Charlotte FC fans when I say we don't want this game to go to penalties. We don't have a good track record and history in penalties. Obviously, last year, very disappointing against Orlando. Goal necessity. Do you think we need to make it like Brant Bronico coming in for the injured Pep BL? Is that the right move at 10? I know there aren't a ton of options, but maybe giving Archie Goodwin, who we obviously brought in, a young player with a lot of potential. Do we want to see more offense, or do you think Dean Smith will stick with a very similar lineup to the one we saw on Tuesday?
Well, I asked Dean Smith that exact question in a conversation today. And considering that this is now season on the line kind of stuff, does he throw in a surprise? Does he change something? Does he, in some ways, NYC caused a surprise with their team lineup in Charlotte? Will Dean Smith throw a name in there into the starting 11 that perhaps we didn't expect? Now, he wouldn't tell, but at the same time, that I suspected from his answer that he's not going to do that. I mean, we all know Wilfried Zaha, as he's available, is going to return for sure. But I think it'll be limited pretty much to that, because I think Dean Smith, the point he made in response to my question about that was very much, look, we lost the game 1-0. We didn't play well first half. We played much better second half. And if we tidy up a few things, then we can win this game. He said they expect to go to Yankee Stadium, win the game, and bring it back to the bank for a game 3. And I think if they do that, at that point, the momentum in this series will be very much back in Charlotte's favor. So I suspect, certainly for the first 45 minutes to an hour, if it stays tight, he's going to stick with more or less what he knows. But of course, as things get later in the game, if it's on the line, and nobody probably wants penalties. I did that game in Orlando last year when Charlotte just couldn't score a penalty barely. Right. I think Ashley Westwood was the only player who did. They're not going to want history to repeat itself. Penalty shootout defeat, I think, as well against Chivas in Leagues Cup at the bank this season as well. So, history not necessarily on Charlotte's side when it comes to a shootout. So, they want to win it in 90 minutes. But I think he's going to stick to true form when it comes to his lineup.
And let's talk about Idon Toklamati. I mean, he was an absolute resurgence this year. Many, myself included, believe he was snubbed from a nomination for Young Player of the Year, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that it was really the second half of the year where he erupted. Do we need to be seeing more from him? Obviously, without Wilfried Zaha, he wasn't getting the kind of service we were hoping for. But, there were some opportunities, I thought, especially in that first half and in the second half as well, where he could have made different decisions and maybe been a little more dangerous on the pitch. What do you, as someone who's watched a lot of MLS this season, knows a lot about Charlotte FC, what do you want to see from him this weekend against New York City?
I want to see a calm head when it matters. I think he still can get a little bit hot at certain times in the game. He just needs to keep his head, stay calm, but still seize the moment and have that urgency. Because, yes, he could be one of the big keys. Everyone talks about Wilfried Zaha, but, Toklamati came in, took the mantle, really, from Patrick Agyemang after his sale. But I think that a lot within the Charlotte camp were very high on Toklamati and his ability. Still a young player. He's got a good future ahead of him. He's already proved he can score goals. He just needs to now keep his composure together, and when the chance comes, take it for Charlotte this weekend. And I'm pretty confident he can do that. I think he's a player who, he's just still learning to kind of rise that big occasion, that big moment. And no better learning curve now than being in the MLS playoffs with your season on the line, because, if he doesn't perform on Saturday, well, he's going to be sitting on his sofa until February next year, basically.
Absolutely. I'm joined now by Tony Husband with the MLS. Thank you so much for taking the time with us. Tony, before we let you go, what should Charlotte FC fans be looking out for? I think a lot of people are going to be watching this game on TV. There are a lot of watch parties. I know there's one at the Carolina Theater that they're planning out. It's going to be a big day in the Queen City. What do you think fans should be watching out for that maybe we haven't really talked about yet?
Well, and it's, we very much look forward to the broadcast on Apple TV and people watching from all over the world to see what can happen in this game at such an iconic venue at Yankee Stadium. We've talked a little bit about the dimensions of the field and how that sometimes plays as a small factor into these kind of games. I'm looking at the first 15, 20 minutes of this match, and I'm looking to see if Charlotte can match the kind of intensity and the way that New York went about Charlotte in the first game. I want to see that from Charlotte. I want to see a front foot start. I want to see a real determination. And I think we might just get an idea in those first 15, 20 minutes whether Charlotte have licked their wounds from the first game and just how much they're hurting. I mean, Dean Smith said today that they're an angry bunch. They're smarting from that first game. Well, they need to now show that they mean business, because it's all on this. So I'm looking, a lot of it is going to be that body language and that intensity from the kickoff, because they're going to have to take the game to NYC a little bit. I don't think they're going to be panicking, but at the same time, they've got to try and set out a statement for the game in a difficult environment and prove that they can get through this game and take it back to the bank, where, as I mentioned, I think if they can do that, I think then they go into game 3 favorites.
And to your point, I think if we really do come in with that momentum next Friday at the bank, may be the best atmosphere in the MLS this season. Let's hope it happens. Tony Husband, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you, and we're looking forward to hearing you on the call.
No problem. Look forward to it, and I hope everyone enjoys the game.
We will. Hopefully we will.
For Charlotte supporters. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Cheers.